going on, guys? Just going for a cruise in the vehicle, and I thought I'd make a video on my story on how I got my first home with just $3,000 down. And with the story, it starts with a bit of disappointment and some setbacks. When I was 22, I originally applied for finance to buy my first home with my partner, and we brought some land off the plan and got the builder ready to build our house. And unfortunately, due to some silly mistakes when I was 18, I defaulted on a loan, and I got rejected for the mortgage, and so that was pretty disappointing, and it made me pretty upset, thinking I'm never going to be able to afford a home, because at that time, around where I was living in Melbourne West, the prices were going crazy, and I thought I'd missed out. But you know, successful people, or people that have a goal, as long as you keep pushing, you'll eventually achieve it. And so after I cleaned up my credit, the default was removed a few years later. I started hustling, grinding, looking for a creative way to get into the Australian property market, because it's very expensive, especially here in Melbourne. So yeah, I was looking around at cheap land around where I lived and some cheap builds. And where I lived in Melbourne West, it was still pretty expensive. Prices were going crazy. So I broadened my horizon and looked in a regional town called Ballarat. And I was looking at the land prices compared to where I was in Melbourne West, and it was I saw that there was a lot of value for what you get, because 512 square metre block around Melbourne was around $300,000, and I could get it for around $135,000 in Ballarat. And where I was living in Melbourne West, there wasn't much happening. There was a lot of crime, home invasions, so I thought, you know what, why not? Let's do it. Let's try get a house and land package here. But the only problem was I only had $3,000. I didn't have a big deposit saved. So I started just looking around, calling builders, and I found a builder, AHB, who had pretty flexible options. And they had a block of land that wasn't going to title for a year, and they were willing actually to pay the 5% build deposit, which was around $14,500. So yeah, the land was around $135,000 for 512 square metre block in a new estate, which was great value compared to outer west in Melbourne, which was around $300,000 for a block like that, maybe more, depending on the estate. And I managed to negotiate with them that I'll put $3,000 down now, and I'll just keep paying a few hundred a fortnight until the land titles. And they actually managed to accept those terms, and the builder actually paid the 5% land deposit to secure the land for me. I just put $1,000 down for the land and a couple of $1,000 down for fees and stuff, because I was also a consultant in the middle doing all the middleman work, unfortunately. So yeah, I secured the land, and the builder, we just made a contract that I would pay them back over, by the time the land titles. And so I did that. 5% of 135,000 was only about 6.5-ish, and I already put down 1,000, so I needed to pay 5,500 back, so around roughly $500 a month. And so that's how I got in, with only $3,000 down. And it was a bit of a struggle. I had to smash overtime at work, figure out other ways to bring up the money to pay back the builder for that deposit. And it's actually been just a bit over 2 years now, and the land's titled. There was a lot of delays, which was a bit disappointing, but at least the land went up a little bit. It got revalued at $150 during the height peak of coronavirus, so I was told the valuations were pretty conservative. So hopefully, if things don't get too crazy with this coronavirus, when they valued it again, hopefully I have a bit more equity. So I was happy with that, even though I had to wait. At least I got a bit of equity while I was waiting. That's if things don't go crazy in the next 6 months. And so they're going to start building in a couple of weeks, which I'm really excited about. And hopefully I should be in the house by Christmas. So I hope this inspired a few people, because in the media they're always putting out stories how it's so impossible to get into the property market. I realise it is really overvalued, but at the end of the day, I'm willing to take a risk. If property prices fall, it doesn't really matter for this house because it's not an investment. It is a house I want to live in. I like the area, I like the regional living, and also I got $20,000 from the government for the first home buyers grant, so I got $20,000 off for that. Around $15,000 the builder paid the build deposit, which I'm sure he would have factored in the build cost. We got the $15,000 there. Didn't have to pay stamp duty, so saved about $15,000 there. So yeah, it was about $40,000 in savings being a first home buyer. And now if you build in regional Victoria, you get $25,000 on top of the $20,000 first home buyers grant for the home builder grant that Scott Morrison just announced. So you get $45,000 plus you save around $10,000 to $15,000 stamp duty depending on the price. And luckily for people now, in the new financial year in July, if you qualify for the 5% down, you don't pay any lender's mortgage insurance, which can save you, or up to $10,000, which I had to pay lender's mortgage insurance. I had to pay about $7,000, and there was a few $100 in title fees and fees for attending settlement, which is some other sneaky fees that they add onto the loan, which you might not be aware about. So it is totally possible if you just got $5,000. Just hustle, find some builders that are willing to pay the build deposit. That are, especially right now, I'm sure a lot of developers will be hungry for business. Try to find some flexible terms where you can pay in installments if you want to. That's your option if you don't have a deposit saved. And sometimes you're going to have to make that sacrifice. You might not be able to buy in the best suburb in Melbourne. You might not be able to afford to buy in Toorak, Kew, Hawthorn, the inner east. But if you really do want to get in the property market, just broaden your horizon, get more creative. Just speak to brokers and developers and real estate agents and increase your knowledge and realise that it can be done with just a few $1,000s. So yeah guys, that's my story. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be creating more content on investing. I'm getting interested in the stock market at the moment, and after I build this house I'm also looking at getting my first investment property. Hopefully I can find some good deals on that with the current situation I'm in. Hope I can hustle and get some low ball offers in and hopefully get lucky and find someone that's desperate to sell. So yeah, please like, comment, subscribe. I'll be bringing out lots of investment videos, economic videos on what's happening with the Australian economy and global economy, property, stocks. I'm really hoping that there's going to be I guess it's not hoping, but it'll be good if there was a second dip in the stock market, because I'll be ready. I've got some cash that I'm getting together. Hopefully it has a second dip, and if it drops a lot, I've also got a plan to get a margin loan at an interest rate of 3.8%, and with the tax write-offs that I can claim the interest on the loan, it drops the effective interest rate down to around 2.3%. And when you factor in inflation around 2%, it's almost free money. So if there was a big crash of 40-50% in the stock market, I would deploy the capital I have and then leverage it on the margin loan. I know a lot of people say margin lending is risky, but if there's already 50% drop, I'm willing to take that risk. Risk it for the biscuit, no risk, no reward. And I think if it dropped 50%, It shouldn't really drop much lower because the loan to value ratio will be around 65% anyway. So even if it still dropped another 20% from there, I should be okay. Alright guys, thanks for watching the video.